Shalom. Right, this is Brother Allah coming back at it with another video lesson. And before I jump into it, as always, I want to give all praise and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, right, in the name of His own God, Son Yahweh Shah, right. So, with that being said, in this video, I'm gonna be touching on Esau, right, and the main point of this video is that Esau really goes into the so-called white man, so-called European man, the so-called Caucasian man of today's day and age, right? And that's proven through history, proven through the Bible, and also proven through archaeology. The list goes on. I mean, even if you do a simple Google search, at times you may be able to find that Google will even make these things pretty clear and obvious that Esau is going into the Romans. Who are the modern day Romans today? The so-called white men, the Europeans, like I said. Right, so kicking it off, I want to start off with the birth of Esau. Right, where we read about Esau, right, when Esau ultimately comes on the scene in the book of Genesis, 25th chapter. And I'm gonna start at the 19th verse. It says, and these are the generations of Isaac, right? Abraham's son. Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel the Syrian of Padan Aram, the sister to Laban the Syrian. And Isaac entreated the Most High for his wife, because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. So Isaac, he asked the Most High to make it so that his women, right, could have children, right? And the Most High heard him, right? He was entreated of him, right? He granted that request. Verse 22, and the children struggled together within her, right? So this is the birth, right, of Jacob and Esau. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord, right? Verse 23, and the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. Right, so meaning what? The child that comes out first is going to serve the child that comes out last. Verse 24, and when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. Verse 25, and the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Right, so this is the birth of Esau, Genesis 25 and 25, and it describes what he looked like when he came out. Came out red, right, because the blood shows through the skin via the lack of melanin, and it was hairy, right. And what people do we know to fit that same exact description to this very day? Right, so-called Caucasian people, so-called white people, like this man right here. Now it doesn't say if his hair was red, right? Because that's the witchcraft that they used, to make it seem as if specifically what they would call gingers is a different race of people from European people with so-called black hair, but they're the same exact nation, right? Just different hair colors. You know what I mean? So they try to play games, active. Specifically, it's talking about a gingered Edomite. A ginger so-called Caucasian person. No, it's talking about all of them. You see what I'm saying? It's talking about every last one of them. So it tells you the description right there, right? So you can just a picture, what it's looking like based off of this right here. And they call his name Esau. Verse 26, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel. And remember what it said, right? In verse 23, that the elder shall serve the younger. Right, so Esau came out, and then Jacob, the second child, came out and held Esau's heel, right? Because that's symbolic of what? Jacob being the one to rule over Esau in the end. Right? Esau's going to have the first rulership in this world, because we're living in the world of Esau right now, right? But then after this world, it's going to become the world of Jacob, which is going to be forever, right? And I'm going to dive into that further on in the lesson. I don't want to jump the gun, right? But it says, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on the Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 3 score years old I mean, he was what, 60 when she bare them, right? Reading on, and the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter. So it's giving you the characteristics of Esau. Esau liked to hunt, animals in the field. And that's the same spirit they exhibit today. Right? When you look up a hunter, I'm not sure, I haven't looked this up before, but I'm sure what will come up is a whole bunch of white people, right? They're known for these things. I mean, look, they got the camouflage on, they got the gun with them, just killing animals for no reason. I mean, it's not like they killing them to eat them; they just killing them just to be cruel, right? Killing birds, just shooting birds out of the sky for no reason. The birds ain't do nothing to them, right? All these different things, right? So this is Esau, all so-called white people. Even in the spirit, they show you. You feel what I'm saying? Just in the spirit, you see this. Right? When you just look throughout history, you don't even have to just be, this picture right here. I mean, they're known for hunting their own people. Literally. Hunting other nations of people. Killing. A lot of bloodshed. Right? A lot of, just being violent in every way possible. By way of, what they call it? Disease. Poison. Backstabbing. Right? So the list goes on and on. Right? These are the people that the scriptures talk about. Right? And there's going to be more detail, further detailing how these are the people that the scriptures are referring to. Right? Because there's no coincidence. There's no such thing as coincidences. So it says Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field. Right? They love being outside in the great outdoors. Even though it's not wrong. All nations, are really, enjoy being outside. But Esau is outside with the purpose of hunting and killing. Right? For no reason. Right? It says, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in testament. Like he was like, everybody else, cool, chill, laid back. You know what I'm saying? A tent inhabitor. And the reason why it compares the two like that is because, right, Jacob, he was normal. Right? Esau, he was abnormal. Verse 28, and Isaac loved Esau. So their father loved the elder because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob, with the father's wife. Right, love Jacob. Jacob today, if I didn't mention already, would be our people, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Right, because out of Jacob comes what? The 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Right, out of Jacob comes the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. So now, I wanted to kind of go into, let's see, that redness that Esau exhibited right when he was born, with the blood showing through the skin. See, now they trying to play games, right? They know exactly what results I want, but they want to try to make it seem as if they're normal when they're really not. Even if they want to put this right here, because we obviously know this man got something else going on top of his pale skin, but either way, he still looks like your modern day European. He just looks a little special ed, you know what I mean? But nonetheless, right, your typical Edomite looks like this, right? This is not normal. You know what I'm saying? To look like this, right? Because that really wasn't a thing, right? For nations to look like the so-called modern day European man before they came on the scene. Before they came on the scene, all nations with dark skin. If somebody looked like this, which this wasn't normal, like I said, this is they call it a genetic mutation, right? Where your melanin doesn't produce like it should on a normal level. You know what I mean? So this wasn't a normal thing. And so that's one of the indicating factors to spot Esau. Right? Because they lack melanin. Right? They can't be in the sun for too long without sunscreen. They start to turn red. You got something called rednecks. Right? And they're actually red. They're not called rednecks for no reason. They're called rednecks because when they're in the sun, their necks actually turn red. Not even just their neck, but their whole body. Right? Their whole bodies turn red. Let me see, rednecks, sunburn. Right, really getting in there. Look, this is what differentiates Esau from Jacob. Right, that red skin. Need that dang SPS 50, the highest level of touchscreen ever. But yet they want to claim to be the people of the book, right? It's complete, utter hypocrisy and lies, right? And so another identifying factor we can use, right, is history, like I said, right? So when you deal with it, right, the Romans, right, you understand that during Yahushua, who really called Jesus Christ, during his time, during his reign, or it's like during his walking on the earth, the people that ruled over, right, the world at that time would be the Romans, right? You had the man, right, which you read about. Let me get it in the book of Matthew, the 2nd chapter. Well, now remember, right, you had King Herod, right? He was the one that was, the king at this time, right? And King Herod, what you kind of find out is, look, his father was somebody known as Antipater the Idumean, right? And where does Idumea come from? Idumea goes back to the land of Edom, right? You see it? You look it up. It says Idumea is a Greek word that means land of the Edomites. It refers to the family line of Edom, an ancient land that bordered Israel, is now part of southwestern Jordan, right? Because what the Edomites, they resided in this land at one point in time. This is where they migrated and they spread off to repopulate, right? The land of Idumea, right? What you see was like southeast, right, of what you would call the land of Israel, like pursuant to this map right here, right? You can see the different archaeological findings and structures that were actually at this location, right? Which allows us to pinpoint it to these specific people, right? The so-called white man. Because who's known for dwelling in caves? Whose name is literally based off of them dwelling in caves? Caucasians, right? Dwelling in the Caucasus Mountains. Like the Flintstones, right? The literal Flintstones. That's when they get that Flintstone show. They didn't just pull that out of thin air. There's actually a race of people who used to live like the Flintstones. And if you want to be technical, they still do now, right? Because they got underground bunkers. They got bunkers and caves in their mountains in undisclosed locations, right? So they're still exhibiting, right, those same traits. You can read the book of Job, the 30th chapter, and it tells you more about Esau and how they truly live. Give me a second, Salaki. A little bit under the weather, but it's all good though. This is the book of Job, chapter 30. I'm gonna start at verse number 1. All right, so in the spirit, this is speaking about Esau. But now, they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock. So Job right here, he's saying that whoever these people are, their fathers wouldn't even want them to dwell with their dogs, right? And there's a reason, because Edomites, so-called white people, even to this very day, they're very vile and wicked. If I'm not mistaken, in Spain they have a law to where you can commit bestiality and you don't get punished for it. You do something like that in the ancient world, you get put to death, but they say you can do it and get away with it. You could be a LGBTQS, whatever, just get away with it. Right? All these wicked policies we see on the earth is from these people, because they feel like it's okay to be wicked. Right? They don't see nothing wrong with it. Right? They hate righteousness. So it says what? But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock. Yeah, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished. For want and famine they were solitary. Right, it's telling you about how they used to live. Flying into the wilderness, or fleeing into the wilderness. In a former time, desolate and waste. So these people lived in the wilderness, right? Like we just seen in that picture, right? These are literally caves that they're dwelling in the middle of the wilderness. in former time desolate and waste, who cut up mallows by the bushes and juniper roots for their meat. Right, so they're eating all kind of, let me look that up. Juniper roots. Just being, let's see. I don't want no touring. I don't know why they put touring on the internet. Look at it. This is what they was eating. Eating trees. Now they eat raw meat. Their bodies can handle these things. Right? They're no different than an animal. Right? This is just the true nature of Esau. They don't want their steak cooked well done. So many different things wrong with them. I'm just put it out there. Right? And that's what the Lord said. I'm not speaking my own words. The Lord said they're cursed. I'm going to touch on that too. Right? And there's a reason. It's not even just limited to them being Esau. In all manner of different levels, they're cursed. So it says, who cut up mallow by the bushes. And let's look up the mallows. Right? So we know the juniper roots is dealing with actual roots of plants. Right? And it says they cut up mallows by the bushes. Yeah, it's just like, very spiky, pointy plants, right? No type of sense, Just living like the Flintstones. Like these people. Literal Flintstones. Look, you see, they got their houses made of caves, and it's all so-called white people in this show, right? It's a whole family of Edomites. There's no coincidence. So it says, verse 5, they were driven from among men. They cried after them as after a thief, right? Because they dwelt in the desolate places in the wilderness, right? They were, separated and ostracized from the rest of mankind, right? Because that was their lot given to them by the Most High, to dwell in these different rocks and mountains and valleys, right? That's why it says that they were driven forth from among men to dwell in the cliffs of the valley, in the caves of the earth, and in the rocks. Right, that's what they did. Among the bushes they brayed. What does it mean to bray? A donkey brays, right? When they make that noise like an animal. That's what they was doing. Under the nettles they were gathered together. They were the children of fools, children of base men. They were viler than the earth. Yeah, they're very vile, very violent and inhumane. Right, so let me actually dive a little further into this as well. Right, I wanted to finish that point on Idumea as well, but let me get real quick. Caucasian meaning, or matter of fact, I'm gonna get etymology. Let's see what comes up. The Caucasus Mountains in southeastern Europe. Right. It says, after a visit to the Caucasus Mountains, the German anthropologists first used the term Caucasian for a derogatory system of racial classification dating from the 18th century. Right, and let's look up the Caucasus Mountain. Right. Right, so they give all these different names, but it's really dealing with Edomites. Right, they like to hide under the banner of different nationalities and nations, but these are still white people. That's what they like to do. That's a part of the curse. Look at this. I actually didn't even look this up for myself. See, that's mighty. Look, it shows you the same exact structure. They call it mysterious, as if this is not the same exact location that the Edomites dwelt in the land of Idumea with these mountain structures. The same exact structures. Like, I didn't even notice. I thought, it would look more modern and different. It looked exactly the same. Right, so, the truth is, being exposed in these last days. Right, you can't hide this anymore, Esau. Right, you had the time before the internet where you were able to twist history and make things seem as if it really wasn't the way it was. But now the Most High is bringing all these things to the light. This is Luke chapter 12 and verse 2. For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. So now everything's being exposed. right? Because your kingdom is falling, Esau. Crazy thing about it is it's your own people that's exposing you to. Just like the Most High prophesied in the book of Obadiah, the 1st chapter. Right? Is this what I want? Let's see. This is the book of Nahum, chapter 3 and verse 5. Behold, I am against, I'm going to start at verse 4. Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlots, talking about America, really going back to the Edomites. The mistress of witchcrafts, right? Because, all the sorcery and the witchcraft, the lies, and the different things and the tactics that, Esau uses to beguile the minds of the people to believe lies. And they do it so subtly. They don't just, just throw it in your face. Now they have things to where they call it predictive programming. They program your mind to believe lies. From a kid and youth, on the TV, you watching TV, they stirring certain things in the TV, certain messages. They call it subliminal messaging, to where they cause you to pick up on things that you're really not paying attention to subconsciously. So that when you get older, right, it's going to instantly be in your mind, to where what you seen when you was younger affects you in the future and how you think and how you move, right? They make you to believe that Jesus is a so-called white man, right? They make you to believe that they're the wisest, most strongest, mightiest people on the face of the earth. But really, they used to dwell in caves, right? This is the witchcrafts, part of the witchcrafts that's talking about. There's way more witchcrafts than this, but that's just a small portion of it. The whorers of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts, that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcrafts, right? Because not only she does these things in her nations, but she gets these other nations involved. The Chinese man, the Arab man, right? The African man. Now they're starting to exhibit the traits of the so-called white man and believe in the lies of the so-called white man, even though they have historical records that they still have preserved, unlike us the Israelites, because we lost everything pursuant to Jeremiah 17:4. We can discontinue from our heritage, but they have historical records, right, proving these things that what the scriptures say is true. But then the witchcraft, like I said, the Esau rape, robbing, the murdering, the pillaging, and conquering nations, and using the witchcrafts and the sorceries to just brainwash the people. Verse 5. Behold, I am against thee, said the Lord of hosts. So the Lord is against, right, these Edomites. And I will discover thy skirts upon thy face. Right? Meaning he's going to reveal everything you have hidden. Right? That's just, metaphorical speech. Figurative speech. And I will shew the nations thy nakedness. Meaning what? All your sin, all your lies, all your deceit. And the kingdoms thy shame. So really what you've been holding back this whole time? He's going to have all of that just be exposed at once. And that's what's happening right now in these last days. People are starting to wake up. They're starting to realize, literally people actually starting to realize that these people aren't the real so-called smart hats. Well, let me say this. Let me not say it like that, right? They're not the real U's, right? Not to get flagged. But people actually starting to believe that these people, they're starting to believe that these people are not. At one point in time, it used to be like, because, they had the whole event with the Holocaust and all these different things. Like, oh, yeah, these are the people. But now, people are looking, they're cutting their eyes at them, man. Like, you're not these people. So the Most High is, having prophecy fulfilled. Just like he said it's going to happen. And we see it happening right before our eyes. Showing that the scriptures is a true and living book. Right? Verse 6, and I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee vile, and I will set thee as a gate. You remember that where we read in the book of Job, the 30th chapter, it's showing you that it's talking about these same people. Right? And I want to dive into, prophetically, how this is speaking about these Edomites, the rulerships of which the, so-called white man has today's day and age. Right, but I'm gonna have to do that in another video because it's a lot of information that I'm bringing out through the spirit. Right, but that same word vile. You read about that vile man. It's talking about Esau in the spirit. Right, you got to be able to spiritually read through the lines. You gotta have a spiritual mind when you read the scriptures, not a carnal mind. Right, the scriptures is a spiritual book. The law is spiritual. Right, so that's just another witness. Showing you, pinpointing these people that dwelt in these Caucasus mountains, right? These Caucasians, which is where they get their names from, how they're actually Edomites, right? And it's another point that I wanted to bring out too with King Herod, like I said. So King Herod, right? He was. Let's look at who King Herod was, right? Just to get a rough, I guess you could say, summary, right? Look, it says King Herod the Great, 73 BCE to 4 BCE, was a Roman appointed king of Judea who ruled the region from 37 to 4 BCE. So he was a king of the Roman Empire. Right? He was a ruler of the Roman Empire. Right? And that's not a light office. It's not a light position. You're governing a whole nation of people. You see what I'm saying? It's a lot, kid. Right, but you're governing a whole region of people. And so, you do with Antipater the Idumean. Right, Antipater the Idumean. This is a high-ranking official under Ethnarch Hyrcanus II and Cyprus, a Nabatean princess from Petra. Let me say that again. Ethnarch Hyrcanus and Cyprus, a Nabatean princess from Petra. Right? From Petra. Right, Petra would be the land of the Edomites, like I just brought out earlier. So he's dealing with his own people. It says in present-day Jordan, Herod's father was by descent an Edomite. So like I said, it tells you that these people are the Edomites. They're exposing themselves. But our people are not looking these things up, right? Because they're brainwashed, like I said earlier, with the witchcrafts and the sorceries, so they don't even think about looking these things up. It says his ancestors had converted to Judaism, which is why you have those people in the land right now saying that they're the people, but really they're Edomites. You see that? See how that works, man? Right? So I mean, yeah. And let me get another verse real quick. Revelations, the 2nd chapter, and the 9th verse. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them. What is blasphemy? Lies, which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. So those people that proclaim to be when they're really not, the Lord said they're the synagogue of Satan. So every time you hear that word Satan, it's not dealing with the little spiritual demon. It can also refer to a nation of people. In this case, the nation of people that say they are Jews and are not. Right? Which would be, like I just said. Let me go back to it. The ancestors of King Herod, right, who converted to Judaism, which will go back to Esau. Now they have different names they want to use: German, French, Dutch, Portuguese, but they all go back to Edomites at the end of the day. Right, so that's the part of the witchcrafts as well. Right, so we know these things in the scriptures, speak for itself in history, like I said. But they're not teaching these things in church, in school, right? Because there's a reason, right? But nonetheless, that in itself is the proof is in the pudding. Just off of that alone, right? And so for another point that I'm about to bring out, what you're going to find out about Esau is he's not as chosen. He's not chosen at all, really. Right? He's cursed. Right? But he's also hated. That's another thing. The Lord hates Esau. He don't hate him for no reason. Neither is he unjust in hating him. Right? So I'm going to go into why he hates him. And how, the Lord is justified in hating him. Let me go to Romans chapter 9. I'm going to start at verse number 12. It was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger. And who's the elder again? Esau came out first, like in hairy garment, red all over. Shall serve the younger. Who came out second? Jacob, the Israelites. The blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. Right, so the Lord loves Jacob, the Israelites, but he hates Esau. Right, because Jacob is the chosen. Let me get a quick verse to prove that in the book of Psalms, right, 135, verse 4. For the Lord have chosen Jacob unto himself, and Israel for his peculiar treasure. So the Lord is not dealing with the Edomites. Right, it's just the will of the Lord. Verse 14. What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with God? God forbid. Is God unjust for hating Esau? He's going to say no. Verse 15. For he said to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. So then, it is not of him that willeth. Right? I mean, it is not about you and your emotions and what you want to happen, nor of him that runneth, but of God that sheweth mercy. For the scripture said unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up. So the same way with the Egyptians. The Lord didn't favor the Egyptians. He destroyed the Egyptians. The same way the Lord doesn't favor the Edomites, he's going to destroy the Edomites. that I might shew my power in thee, and that my name might be declared throughout all the earth. Verse 18, here's the point. Therefore have he mercy on whom he will have mercy, and whom he will he hardeneth. Right? So it's just that simple. But I'm going to get verse 13 once more. Romans 9 and 13, as it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. And this is not something new. The Lord said that even in the so-called Old Testament, right? In Malachi, the first chapter. All right, I'm going to start at verse number 1. The burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. Right? So you know, I just read in Romans, which is the so-called New Testament, and it's quoted from a prophecy in the book of Malachi that was written to the Israelites. So everything in Romans, unanimously, is already written to the Israelites, just off of that alone. Verse 2, and just the whole Bible in general, really. I have loved you, save the Lord. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Right, because the Lord loves our people. Right, and our people want to act like the Lord doesn't love us because of our current predicament. You know, because they have it so hard in life. But there's a reason why you have it so hard, because you left off from keeping the commandments. You broke his covenant. Was not Esau Jacob's brother? Save the Lord, yet I love Jacob. Right, even wasn't Esau directly related to us from birth? Right, but the Lord chose us over Esau. Right, so how doesn't the Lord love us when he promised us so much greatness? And I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste. Right, why? Because those mountains that I showed earlier, they no longer inhabit that. Right, because the Lord, he gave it to another nation, right, to conquer them. Right, it says, and I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste. Right, because that was his heritage. That was his allotted and appointed land. Just like we got the land of Israel, they got the land of, Edom. For the dragons of the wilderness. Who are the dragons of the wilderness? Your Arabians. Right, I think they even tell you that, online as well. All right, let me look up who are the dragons. Matter of fact, I'll go to the Blue Letter Bible, right, for the etymology of the word. Malachi 1 and 3. Oops. This made me having a mind of its own sometimes. Let's see if it goes into it. Right, for the dragons of the wilderness. You see that? So it says in the Jacenius Hebrew Chaldee lexicon, the same is the meaning of Arab. Right, so it's dealing with the Arabs. Right, so that's pretty plain. So he laid his mountain, his heritage waste to the Arabs. So the Arabs, they conquered Esau, and then Esau scattered, like the vagabond and fugitive he is. Right, because Esau doesn't have a permanent. Esau is on the move constantly, right? Because that was a part of his curse. Right, he wouldn't be comfortable and be able to do the things that the other nations have been able to do. Have a prosperous land and good agriculture. And these people dwelt in the mountains. In the mountains, don't nothing grow but thorn and thistles. Right, for the most part. Which is why they were eating juniper roots, right? And raw meats. But let's continue on though. That's why they can eat these things as well. And they don't suffer no type of health ailments. You don't get sick. You got certain people that's on a strict raw meat only diet. And it goes back to Esau and the curses and the things that they suffer. Right, for being so wicked. Right, but what you kind of find out is that they brought it upon themselves, pretty much. And I want to touch on that point next. They brought this on themselves. Right, because what Esau do in the book of Genesis, the 25th chapter. Whenever I can see. Right, let me get this in Genesis 25. I'm going to start at verse. Let me see. I'm going to start at verse 27. And the boys grew. And Esau was a cunning hunter and a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Verse 29. And Jacob saw a pottage when he was cooking in the kitchen, and Esau came from the field, right? Like he always, is doing, hunting, being a beast, a vile man, and he was faint, right? When he's about to pass out. Verse 30. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. We constantly see this recurring theme of red, or red. Right, the pottage was red, Edom was red. The name Edom in Hebrew literally means red. Right? Let me actually get that as well. It's a whole lot of red. The Lord is making these things plain so we don't miss it. So then you can't have pseudo arguments saying that nah, it's not talking about his skin, it's talking about his hair. No, he's reaffirming it. He's called the red dragon in the book of Revelations. Right? And there's many other places he's called red. Right? And that's the Lord reaffirming. I said, like I said, and making it evident these people, they have something distinct about them. It says the word Edom means red, ruddy, of a man, horse, heifer, garment, water, lentils. Right? So all this goes back to Esau. So finishing it off, right? Why Jacob? It's like why Esau, right, is hated and cursed the way he is. Right. Matter of fact, before I even jump the gun on this, bro, right? Let me actually do things in order. I'm gonna get Genesis the 4th chapter, right? So we can understand why Esau is the way he is, right? Dealing with the story of Cain and Abel, right? So I'm gonna start at verse number 1. I'm gonna just read all the way down. Genesis 4:1. And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. She again bare Abel, it's like it bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of the sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. Just like Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents, Esau was a what? A hunter of the field, right? And in process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. Verse 4, and Abel, he also brought the firstling of his flock, and of the fat thereof, and the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering. Right, so why did the Lord have respect unto Abel and not Cain? Because Cain, he just brought up whatever. The Lord tells us that we got to bring the firstlings of all our flock to him. Whenever, it comes to doing this particular sacrifice, the best of our flock, the fat has to be burnt, on the altar, because, Cain and Abel, they knew about the law of sacrifice. Just like the Israelites, we had the law of sacrifice, we still do. They knew about it as well in the ancient world. This is nothing new. But Cain was wicked with his sacrifice. Right? Like you just had some fruit on the floor, you just threw on the ground, you stomped on it, you picked it up, and you want to give it to the Lord as if he's going to accept that. When the Lord says he wants his offerings without spot, without blemish. Verse 5, but unto Cain and to his offering he had no respect, and Cain was very wroth, meaning angry, and his countenance fell. Right, meaning he began to be upset. Verse 6, right, that's wicked. How you gonna bring a wicked offering to the Lord that's not what he ordained and asked of you? This is the creator of heaven and earth. It's not just from any man. And then you want to get mad with the Lord as if he did something wrong when you broke his laws. And it's not hard. The Lord blesses you to be able to have these things, but you want to be wicked and be lazy. You want to do your own thing, right? Being rebellious. And the Lord says rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. In 1 Samuel 15:32, I want to say. Right, so he's being rebellious. Verse 6, and the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth, and why is thy countenance fallen? If thou do well, shalt thou not be accepted? Right, this is that simple. You simply just obey it, follow instructions, and everything will be cool. Everything will be groovy. And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. And that's what Cain did. He sinned. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Just like the same thing, the elder shall serve the younger. Hey, Esau, he not liking that. We're ruling over these Edomites. And they're hating that, which is why, they're just so violent like they are now. Verse 8, and Cain talked with Abel his brother. Right, this is all spiritual with Jacob and Esau, right, to come, in the future. And Cain talked with Abel his brother. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. Right, so he killed this man for no reason. You decided to be wicked, and then you want to get mad when you don't get blessed and your brother does. Right, so he sin on top of sin on top of sin. He didn't repent. None of these things. He could have, offered up, sacrifice for forgiveness. But no, he didn't do it. He just sin after sin after sin, like I said. No remorse. Verse 9. And the Lord said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? Right? And he want to lie about, he don't want to admit to what the Lord, to what he did, even though the Lord already knew what he did. Verse 10, and he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood cried unto me from the ground. Just like the same thing with us. Our blood, the blood of the Israelites, cries unto the ground from the Lord. You read about that in the book of Revelation, the 6th chapter, and the 9th verse, right, about the blood of the Israelites crying unto the Lord. Right? That's why, this whole story in Genesis is spiritual of Jacob and Esau in the end. Right? Because you read Isaiah 28 and verse number 10, it tells you got to read here a little and there a little, meaning you got to jump, from here to there to get understanding. Right? You're not supposed to read the scriptures like a regular book. You're supposed to read it, right, connecting the dots, the puzzle pieces. Right, and it says, verse 11, and now art thou cursed from the earth. So what? Cain was cursed. Right, he's going to go into the curse of Cain, which have opened their mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. Right, and we see with Esau, he lives in the mountains, right, and he's eating juniper roots because he doesn't have, good vegetation. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. What does it mean to be a fugitive? Let's get the definition of a fugitive. A person who has escaped from a place or is in hiding, especially to avoid arrest or persecution. Right? And let's get vagabond. So that's what Esau is. That's the curse that Esau was given through his forefather Cain. It says vagabond, a person who wanders from place to place without a home or job. Right? Because Esau truly doesn't have any heritage. Right? This is why he claims to be other people all throughout history. He claims to be the Europeans, right? Which really those were Japhethites, right? He claims to be, certain Africans. He claims to be, all these different nationalities, which he's really not. Claims to be Arabs. Claims to be the Egyptians. He just claims to be everybody. He claims to be the Native Americans, which makes absolutely no sense. I mean, so many different things, right? So that's that part of that curse that the Lord placed upon the descendants of Esau. And Esau himself, actually. Right? And so, let me go back to where I was at. Verse 13. And Cain said unto the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Right, here it is, you complaining, but you didn't repent when you had the chance. You had multiple times to repent, but you didn't do it. Verse 14. Behold, right, that's extremely wicked. Thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth. Right, you remember how we read earlier? Esau, right, he was dwelling in the mountains and the caves, right, away from men. I think that was in the book of Job that I brought that out. And from thy face shall I be hid. Right, because the Lord's not dealing with Esau. And I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. Right, because what? The laws at that time, and you gotta flee, or else, the person can kill you. Right, you commit murder, then the nearest kindred can avenge you. Right, so we see the same spirit in Esau today. He's trying to hide, not to be the people of the, the book. Esau, he's hiding under all these different nationalities. That all goes back to Cain. Verse 15, and the Lord said unto him, therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. And what's that mark? Leprosy. No melanin. Blonde hair, blue eyes. Right, that's that leprosy. Right, it says, and Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enoch, and he builded a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch. Right, so here it is. The Lord stopped dealing with Cain, and then he builds a city. Right? Yeah, so Esau is just rebellious, all the way. Right, and so that's why Esau is cursed, ultimately through the wickedness, right, of Cain. Right, he set a mark upon Esau, lest any finding him, right, should take vengeance upon him sevenfold. And that mark is that, like I said, leprosy, no melanin, which you read about in the scriptures. Right, let me get Leviticus. Right, and that's what Leviticus, I want to say 14, like 40, something of that sort. Shalakia, bear with me. Alright, so one of these precepts, it might be 13. Shalakia.